Hey, A2CN live, you know it's our favorite time. Turn it up and listen up and let's go take a dive. It's the show that does the most, and yes, we're streaming coast to coast. Bump it up and buckle up and let's go take a drive. Engaging the culture and spreading our sense. Too many reasons we gotta speak in. 3 Dazy Rosie's still relevant. For college students, ladies and gents, relating, connecting, reflecting, very thought-provoking. Acts to life, yeah, that's right. A2CN live right now.
Hello everyone and welcome to A2CN Live. We're your hosts. My name is Steven.
I'm Esther.
And I'm Justin.
A2CN is an online Christian organization reaching college students everywhere. We're creating content like this, tools and community for students to talk about God, the Bible, life, and meaning over the internet.
And this is episode 3, so as you might have guessed, we'll be here for the live stream every week. On the show, we play games, convince our friends to entertain the audience, which is you guys, and then dig into the topic of the week and what the Bible has to say about it.
So don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and follow our Instagram page at A2CN.
Yes.
All right.
And one thing I want to mention is that we've gotten feedback that we clap a lot while we're doing this. So we just want to say, if you see us clapping, feel free to call us out in the chat so we can break this habit. Yes.
Yep. All right. Well, we got an A2CN update for y'all. So this past week, A2CN hosted our very own 3-day global online hackathon called Hack in Place. We had different teams find ways to improve the virtual classroom experience, help clubs continue their online presence, and bolster mental wellness. My favorite part was hearing from the women in tech. Ladies represent. We made a video recap, so let's watch that.
I think the question that's on my mind is how is this next generation yourself going to be able to have genuine connections and genuine relationships with one another?
We need to take steps to tackle the educational disparities that exist in our local communities.
Part of the excitement of the hackathon is realizing your idea is not good and getting to pivot.
So cool to see all you ladies here.
React is the client-side front-end framework. As you build your Firebase database, you have to come up with your own rules.
I took those learnings and added it to the final screens.
You can choose, and then each of them have like very specific design.
And you can click on different locations, which are linked to Zoom meetings that you can click open to.
If you know what categories in particular you want to go to, you can go to the categories tab at the bottom and search for any category that you need.
And to the bottom right, there's a button leading to the think tank the user most recently used, allowing the user to pick up where they last left off.
Wow. Awesome. Man, everyone was making a big deal about Josh Hugg. I don't know who that is. I just know he has a great name. I like that. Oh no, I just clapped. Oh no. Well, moving on. I can't believe it's already the middle of August 2020. I'm kind of happy, but it's also kind of crazy how fast it's gone, right? And so for a lot of you, the summer's already winding down. I don't know how your summer went. I heard on the radio the other day the person saying that this was the longest summer ever and also the shortest summer ever. I was like, that's really well put, right? Yeah. So however it went, we're here to help you take advantage of all the time you have left. We're going to hand it over to our field reporter, Julie, for a new segment we're calling New Normal. Very original, I know. So today, Julie's going to teach us how to camp indoors, except she's never gone camping before, so how's it going to go? I don't know. Let's see it.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie, and this is New Normal, a segment where we try new things indoors and learn how to have fun while being safe given the circumstances. So today I'm teaching you how to camp indoors. And so last week I camped in this apartment right here, and I'm going to show you how I did it. First things first, you need the right camping gear. Secondly, you're going to need a tent. I don't own a tent, but you can make it out of anything. I'm using this teepee right here, but you can obviously get some pillows and some blankets.
Dude, how do people do this? How do they expect kids to do this? This is what I'm going to be sleeping in tonight.
And there we have it, my abode for the night. It's getting a little cold in here, so now we're going to make a fire. All you need are some twigs and some flint. But just kidding, you're in an apartment. So what you do is get your laptop, open it up, and type in fire. And what is a campfire without s'mores? You're just gonna get a few marshmallows, put it on a stick, hold it by the fire, hope that it roasts, and bam, it roasted. Look at that burn. Now we're gonna make this camping experience even more campy by playing some campfire songs. I chose a few by one of my favorite artists. His name is SpongeBob. Let's gather around the campfire and sing our campfire song. That was fun. The night sky is pretty essential to a camping trip. Yeah, that's the whole point why you go on a camping trip. To get away from the phones, the bright screens of your laptop, and the light pollution in the cities. Get to experience something real. So what you do is that you get a notebook, a pen, and you just draw some stars, like this. Nope. Who even gives a star shape like this anyways? Isn't it like this? That's what a star looks like, and then that's a star. And lastly, to finish off this experience, I went on a hike. Woo, hiking! Obviously, before going outside, I made sure to have a mask on and safely social distance myself from other people. I'm going on these trails called the Fire Trails right behind Clark Kirk, a dormitory at UC Berkeley. So, we're taking a break because I'm a little bit tired, but look at the view. I obviously was unprepared for this. What do I say? What do I talk about? Hi everyone, so we made it to the top now, and usually you would be able to see a really nice view here, but here's the Bay Area for you. Over there, there's Oakland and the Bay Bridge. In front of us would be the Golden Gate Bridge and SF, and then Berkeley all around us. Okay, and so I just want to thank everybody for taking this trip with me indoors, and I hope that this is just as fun for you as it was for me, and I hope that you all are safe and well, and thanks for watching.
Thank you, Julie. Man, hope you guys found that helpful.
Yeah.
She's really making the most out of this situation.
Yeah,
That's what's
she
happening.
is. That view though, that was great.
We're just gonna move on now. We're just gonna move on. So with summer winding down, a lot of y'all out there are going back to school, starting college, and that's something to look forward to, right? The start of a new school year. Even if the picture of that is not exactly what we thought it would be, right? With a lot of schools going virtual and all that, and just try not to have COVID spikes. But we thought it would be nice for us to just share what it was like for us when we started college, and we're gonna start with Esther. You guys want to see Esther's freshman year pic? Here we go. No. Here you go, Esther, back to school. Esther! Ooh, you look exactly the same.
Yeah, I look the same.
Smaller.
I have longer hair.
Longer hair, yeah.
That's for all the stress.
Wow.
But anyway, so I was two things coming in as a freshman. I was intimidated and I was anxious. And the reason is because I was first gen. I came from a really under-resourced high school, so I was really unprepared for college. And then I had a huge culture shock. Plus, I had 6 successful siblings' shadows that I was living under. So there was a lot of pressure to do well academically. On top of that, I felt a lot of imposter syndrome. So I tried to sound smart and be at par with all my peers and join clubs and take every class and appear like I had it all together. I remember feeling really intimidated by my freshman year roommate, but a couple weeks later, as we were getting to know each other more, she was like, you know what, when I first met you, I was really intimidated by you. And I was like, me? Like, what do you mean? So that's when I realized a lot of people were feeling like me, and nobody has it all together. So you can relax and breathe a little.
Yeah, why would anyone find you intimidating? Well,
yeah.
Why?
Just fun.
All right, so next up, Justin's gonna share. Justin, I was astounded by your picture. That doesn't even look like you. Who is that?
The hair.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I'm trying not to look at the picture.
Hey, don't look. You're going to like crumble into pieces.
Yeah, so I was actually like the opposite of Esther, kind of. When I came in, I was very much like, I don't want to be the goody two-shoes guy. And it was really funny. I came in with a chip on my shoulder. Like, I really wanted to be super successful. Emotionally, I was just like, I want to show all the haters. You know what I'm saying? But then realistically, I was like super lazy. So I basically... I would go to class, but I didn't want to be too goody two-shoes, so I wouldn't stop myself from falling asleep. So I'd go to lecture, I'd fall asleep, and then I eventually figured, if I'm just going to sleep anyways, why go to lecture? I stopped going to classes. I just stayed in my dorm room, played video games with my friends, watched anime.
Sounds like freshman year.
Yeah, and that was kind of most of freshman year.
Yeah. I see in the chat someone just called you a Q-tip. And
Q-tip?
That's great.
Excuse you.
Now you're like a used Q-tip. It's nice. Well, no, okay.
Oh my God.
We're not going to show my picture because I went to college before there were cameras. But I think this goes to show that every person comes in college with a picture of what it's going to be like and who I'm going to be in that picture, right? And we try to get to that picture, we try to act that out, try to be that person. And I think these days, it's even more like you can do that because of social media, right? That picture of life.
You know, actually, funny story about social media. So, like, I'm obviously really cool. And I came to the Snapchat game a little late. I started senior year of high school. So when I came in, I was like starting to get really, really into it. And it got to the point where I was always refreshing the Snapchat stories. So like every 15, 30 minutes, I was like checking what new stories there were. And then my life, so I'm out of state, right? And I wanted to show my friends back home how cool I was and how exciting my life was. So I would Snapchat story every single like mildly interesting thing in my life. And so I started to view the world eventually in these goggles of like, can I put this on my Snapchat story? And it actually got really draining. Like, because, usually people would be anxious about classes. I was anxious about whether I was going to miss putting something that was really interesting on my Snapchat. And so all the time, I just had my hand on my phone, like ready to go. And then it got to the point where I eventually deleted my Snapchat.
Wow.
Yeah, big move. And after that, I felt like my freshman year really started because I was finally like not looking through goggles of Snapchat. Yeah.
I'm very glad you did that. Very glad you did that. Yeah, again, like I think that goes to show when you're going back to school, starting college, whether it's virtual or it's in person, we have this picture of what it's going to be like, and often reality is really different, right? And that's kind of related to our topic today. We're kicking off a new series called Small Talk, Big Questions. And for our very first topic today, we're going to be trying to answer the question, why are Christians so hypocritical? We're going to be talking about hypocrisy. This is a tough question. Yeah. Who chose this?
You.
Yeah, I did. All right. It's a tough question, but it's a real and honest question. And I think actually it's how most people see Christians today. I think a lot of people think Christians are just hypocrites. And the truth is, there's pretty good reason to think that, right? Whether it's from your personal experience or whatever you see on the news, there's a lot of Christian hypocrisy out there that really affects people's view of Christianity. I mean, that affects our view of Christianity, right?
Yeah. And actually, I was exactly this guy, right? So growing up, I thought that being a hypocrite was by definition inside being a Christian, right? Being a Christian was being a hypocrite. Wow. And so I grew up going to church and I saw a lot of hypocrisy in the church that I went to and like my friends' churches that I visited. And so I grew up like with the understanding that all these Christians that went to church went knowing that they didn't actually live out the things they said they believed. And I thought that was a complicit agreement. Wow. Like we had this unspoken understanding we're all not going to live it out even though we say we believe it. And so I used to call myself Christian growing up, and I showed very different faces at church and like everywhere else in my life, and I thought that was what all Christians just do.
Wow.
Yeah, I experienced Christian hypocrisy and phoniness really as a kid amongst the people that were closest to me. And in particular, it was how this person behaved one way in public, but at home was really different. And that made me disinterested in Christianity because I was so disturbed, and I was just really hurt by it.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people's experience, I mean, we can't sugarcoat it. It's really, really ugly. A lot of people get hurt because of hypocrisy, and we got to own up to that. But I think it's also true that hypocrisy is not just ugly like in the church. Hypocrisy is ugly everywhere. Anywhere it happens. It's like, man, and there's no monopoly that Christianity has on hypocrisy. There's just so much hypocrisy out there, and I don't know if it's like just particular to our generation, it feels like it, but man, we've seen a lot of hypocrisy in the world, haven't we?
Yeah, and actually, as I was doing research for today's question about hypocrisy, I was looking into hypocrisy in the world, and there's like a lot more than I even thought at first. And I think the one that really gets me is when there are CEOs of nonprofits that take home multiple millions each year. And it just like doesn't sit well with me because it's like nonprofit, but then taking home multiple millions, it doesn't add up to me.
Yeah, I think the one that got to me was recently all the companies that are putting out statements against racism and promoting inclusivity, but then its leadership board is like not diverse at all.
Yeah, and so I think the effect of all of this is that there's just been this erosion of trust in our society, right? Like that's the effect of hypocrisy. And I think it just shows that hypocrisy is not just a Christian problem. Hypocrisy is a human problem. And so what do we do with that? Well, I think the Bible speaks into it this way. In Romans 3:23, typo. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, right? That phrase, fall short, I think really gets at the issue. We fall short. We all fall short all the time. We fall short even of our own standards and commitments, Like you tell yourself, I'm going to be honest. And then you find yourself exaggerating the good parts about you and downplaying the bad parts, right? And then you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to be really nice to my friends and family, especially during shelter in place, right? And then you find yourself just being really, really harsh. And so there's this gap between where you are and where you should be or where you want to be, right? And how do we respond to that gap? Well, one way is just to admit, like, I'm not here. I'm down here. I'm failing. That's really hard. That's painful. That's humiliating. And so we don't do that, right? That's like last thing I want to do. And so we try another way. What we do is we fake it, We don't meet our own standards, but then we pretend that we do. And when we fake it, when we do that, that's hypocrisy. I think if we're all honest, we've all done that. I mean, I've done that, right? We're all hypocrites.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're all hypocrites. But there's something about Christians being hypocrites that's particularly irritating. And maybe it's because we're called to a higher standard. People expect more from us. So when we're hypocritical, it elicits a stronger response. It's just more disappointing.
I think for me, it's actually, I agree with that. But it's the whole holier than thou thing. Like, it's already irritating enough when anyone does that as an individual. And I can see why, like, if Christians were to do it, like, that would be really annoying. Like, if we were to be like, oh, holier than thou.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, like, we think that we're better than others because we go to church on Sundays or we haven't been arrested or we say we agree with, even if we don't live out the Christian message. And actually, I remember I had a phase like this in high school. It was really short, thankfully, but I would listen to only Christian music. So it was like, no non-Christian music. I tuned into K-Love on the radio every single day. Like that was the only thing I listened to, and I did it for 2 weeks. But during those 2 weeks, I was like, man, I am such a good Christian. I am so holy. Like, look at me.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, during those 2 weeks, I was also the most pretentious bloke on the block. Yeah, that was.
I bet you were.
Yeah, I was. I was
the opposite when it came to music. I would blast secular music in my car. Oops, I'm clapping again. I would blast secular music in my car because the beat was so good. And I would think, oh my goodness, if only my Christian friends knew what I was listening to. So, yeah.
That's so funny. Man, that holier than thou attitude, though, like I know I've done that. I've done that. And I know that when I was doing that, I didn't even know I was doing that. And that must have been like really upsetting to people. When that happens, when we have that holier than thou attitude, I think that's a sign that we've really lost sight of what Christianity is about. Because if you really understand Christianity, that's not how you would carry yourself. So there's a story Jesus tells in Luke 18, and it goes like this. It says, 2 men went up into the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, prayed thus, God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I get. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even lift his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. All right, so this is Jesus' story. You got 2 guys. One guy goes up to the temple. They both go up to the temple to pray. And the first guy is this Pharisee. He's this religious guy. On the outside, he looks like he's doing everything right. But if we just look at this prayer, he's basically just saying how good he is, right? God, I thank you that I'm not like other men. Basically, God, I thank you I'm better than other people, including this tax collector who's standing right next to me, right? And then after that prayer, all he's doing is just listing all the things that make him great, This guy, I think, really captures this holier than thou attitude Christians can have that people find so ugly. And Jesus finds it ugly too. Jesus is saying, don't be like this guy. Now instead, Jesus points to the tax collector as the model for us. In Jesus' day, tax collectors weren't just like IRS agents, They were considered the worst of sinners because they betrayed their countrymen to collect taxes for the Romans. And they often collected more money than was necessary so that they could take some of it for themselves. Here's how the tax collector prays. He doesn't even lift up his eyes. All he does is he beats his breast and he says, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. And I think right there is where genuine Christianity starts. Christianity starts with this fundamental confession. I'm a sinner. I'm broken, messed up, full of pride, arrogance, and selfishness. But the good news of Christianity is that God shows us mercy. That's what the tax collector prays for, right? And that's what Christianity is about. God showing sinners mercy. And I think that's what enables us to own up and admit to our failings. It's super painful and humiliating to do that still. But God's mercy allows us to take the painful step of admitting our sins and to be honest about all the ways we fall short. And I really think that's the remedy to hypocrisy. It's not by trying to close the gap, not by trying to be better. You're just setting up yourself for failure. It's about being honest that I'm a sinner and I'm a failure. And the only way to do that with enough courage and humility, without falling into despair and getting resentful, is to know that when I'm real about that before God, He shows me mercy.
Actually, yeah, that reminds me of a story. Well, not really a story, an experience. So I kind of shared earlier how I grew up in the church and thought everyone was a hypocrite. But fortunately, I also got to experience the exact opposite of that happening as well. And so there was a time that there was an older brother from church, and I was spending time with him, and I asked him to look something up on his phone for me. And he actually said to me like, oh, I can't. I don't have a browser on my phone. And I had a sneaking suspicion I knew why, but I decided to give him an out, and I said, oh, you're a working man, and you need to be productive, so that's probably why you don't have one. And he could have just said yes, like that's exactly why. But he corrected me. He said, no, that's not why. He said, the reason that I don't have a browser is because I struggle with lust. And when he said that, I was so taken aback because just the amount of vulnerability he was willing to have in front of this younger guy. He faced being mocked by me or some sort of rejection, or maybe I would turn away from him. But no, actually, he was open and honest with me. And in that moment, he earned like 100% my respect, right? Like I recognized he was a real one. And so, yeah, like that picture for me was a picture of, and a very apt picture of what it looks like not to be a hypocrite, to be able to be open and honest like that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I think that leaves us with a lot to think about. And to end this time, we've asked our band to play a song for us. It's called As I Am. And the lyrics say, nothing will change how the Father loves me. You take me as I am. Over and over, you call me yours again. You see it all and you still want me. Your kindness and mercy remind me how you love me. And the lyrics summarize what we've been talking about, that Christianity starts with the fundamental confession. We're all sinners and God has shown us mercy. And when I fail, I can come to God with all of my sins and failures and all the ways I fall short. I don't have to fake it. So band, take it away.
I'm living in a grace where everything is more than I imagined, where what is undeserved is freely given. All my regrets and my failures, all of my wrongs have been left at the cross. Now all that remains is the Father's love. Oh Lord, you take me as I am. Over and over you call me yours again. You see it all, still you want me. How you love me, how you love me. Your kindness and mercy remind me how you love me, how you love me as I am. So let us be together, seated at your table in communion. Oh, everyone is equal in your presence. Oh, 'cause where I am from or where I've been, the way that I've lived or the color of skin, nothing will change how the Father loves me. Lord, you take me as I am. Over and over you call me yours again. Oh, you see it all, still you want me. How you love me, how you love me. Your kindness and mercy remind me how you love me, how you love me as I am.
Your grace overflows with your kingdom in tow. I know you bestow your crown on me. Though my sins are the status quo, you take them and turn them white as snow for me. It shows when I say what I won't and I do what I can't and I don't what I should. Hypocrite for all to see, but consider this, that he bled for me. I see how you love me, and you take me as I am, and you show me on the cross I was red, condemned. It was dead to redemption, all to your glory. Turning my sins from black to gold, you transform my soul, called real alchemy. Blessings all day, none's just your look. Now count it up, count it up, count it up.
Take me as I am. Over and over you call me yours again. Oh, you see it all, still you want me. How you love me, how you love me. Your kindness and mercy mercy, remind me how you love me, how you love me as I am.
Thank you guys so much, man. Well, I hope you enjoyed our answer to the question, or at least give you something to think about. Maybe we're going to be answering many more questions in the coming weeks. But if this is something you're interested in, Esther's going to tell us something about Course 101.
Yes, so Course 101 is a 7-week course for anyone who has experience with Christianity or those just beginning to consider it. I took it myself because I had a lot of misconceptions about God and who Jesus was. And it's even better now because there's interactive videos and animations that help us delve deeper into questions about the meaning of life and purpose. And we also have a video for you, so let's see it.
All right. Nice.
That was good. So if you're interested, even just a little bit curious, sign up using the link in the description below.
So next week, we are going to be back here, same place, same time, 7:30 p.m. We'll be continuing through our series, Small Talk, Big Questions. And the question we'll be answering next week is, why are Christians so exclusive?
Why?
Another hard one.
Wow. Who's choosing these questions?
Who could it possibly be? And again, if you've ever had any questions about Christianity that you never got answered, or any doubts that you didn't know what to do with, we want to hear from you and try to answer your questions on this show. If there's any topic or question you'd like answered in the coming weeks, please leave it in the comments below. We'll make sure to go back and read every single one.
Every single one.
Every single one.
All right, well, it was so great seeing all of you again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And we will see you next week.
We didn't see them at all.
See you next week.
Bye.